Hi there. I'm here to talk about snowboards, or what we call it Weaverboard here in Canada. For the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about what is a snowboard, what it is used for, and are the advantages of using a snowboard versus just sticking a ruler onto the ground. Well, first of all, let's define what is a snowboard. A snowboard, or Weaverboard as they call it here in Canada, is a tool that meteorologists and weather observers like myself use to measure snowfall. There are many advantages as to why we use a snowboard compared to the traditional method of measuring snow by sticking a ruler into the ground. The first main advantage of using a snowboard is the snowboard provides a reliable flat platform so you can actually measure out snowfall. One of the challenges when measuring snowfall by just sticking a ruler into the ground is it's hard to define when does the top of the blade of the grass starts and also when the ground is. And sometimes what happens is you do get inflated snowfall measurements if you can't define the actual top of the blade of the grass versus the ground. While in a typical snowboard, like this one here, you can exactly know where that platform starts. Second advantage as well of using a snowboard is it provides you an opportunity to measure incremental readings. And what I mean by that is you can actually clear the snowboard every 6 hours, which is typically the synoptic period for most reporting stations, and you can then reliably measure the cumulative snowfall in that time frame. So that will then reduce any compression or melting that happens beyond the 6 hours, and you can then sum up the measurement during that 6-hour time frame. Another advantage of using a snowboard as well is it allows you to take multiple measurements within the snowboard. So one of the challenges in measuring snowfall is providing a stable environment for you to take multiple measurements and take the average. Having a snowboard, especially with a large surface area, you can actually take multiple measurements at different points of the snowboard. And like myself, you can also have more than one snowboard. You can actually place another snowboard and take another measurement from that new location. And that brings me to another advantages of having a snowboard is it's mobile, which means you can actually locate the snowboard to an area that will provide you a more representative location or measurement for the snowfall. So if you are located in a windy area or in a shady location, you have the ability to move the snowboard to a more appropriate location. And finally, the advantage of having a snowboard is it also allows a very convenient way to take core samples. And what I mean by that is by having a flat platform, it's very easy for you to actually put your precipitation gauge and take a core sample, and you know reliably where the flat surface starts, and you can scoop out and get your core sample. Versus if you're taking it directly from the ground, you might have a hard time finding when the ground is to take your proper core measurement. So if you are submitting a core sample water equivalent, a snowboard makes that process more efficient. So now you know why it's far more superior to use a snowboard when measuring snowfall. You're probably wondering, what are the characteristics of a snowboard? Well, let's have a look. A snowboard is typically made of wood, and it has a large surface area of about 42 centimeters wide and has a thickness of about 2 centimeters. I often recommend having a wood that's not too thick, that will actually go above the top of the blade of the grass, or too thin, that will collapse on the weight of the snow. And snowboards are also often painted white. And the reason for that is to reflect the sun and minimize any heating that may accumulate in the snowboard and inadvertently melt the snow. In the Canadian snowboard, there's typically a lip as well, about a centimeter at the edge of the board. And the purpose of that is to provide a stable first layer of snow that will hold the snow into the board, especially if it's drifting or windy. That will actually make the snow more stable. And then finally, the snowboard also have a stick in the middle, and that basically serves as a way for you to locate your snowboard, especially if you have a quite deep snow depth. And typically snowboards are placed in areas that are about 2 times away, or at a distance of 2 times the height of the closest obstruction. One of the common mistakes people often do when they measure snow is they do it so close to the roof of the house, and when it's windy, actually some of the snow from the roof will actually fall into the snowboard. So find a location where you're about 2 times the height of the closest obstruction. Find an open area as much as you can in your property. And you can also have a second or third snowboard so you can get average snowfall measurements. Well, I hope you've learned something today in terms of snowboards and why it's much better to use it in measuring snow. If you'd like to learn more about how to measure snow, watch the next video in my series in my YouTube channel at WeatherShortsReels. And I also post daily weather observation reports in my X account at I am Blazer. Well, thank you for following and have fun measuring snow.